Hey, everybody, you are listening to the Minding Mind podcast, where we live life with ease, connection, and permission to just be. I'm your host, Evelyn LeVasseur, and welcome back to another episode. Today, I am sitting down with my first baby, Jayden and Maya, and we're going to talk about navigating the mother-daughter relationship. And I cannot wait for you to hear more. But with any guest, I have to introduce, so let me introduce you first. Jayden is a 16-year-old high school sophomore attending the school that her dad teaches at. She is the current valedictorian, a competitive dancer and swimmer. And aside from having the best mom ever, she also has the best relationship with her little sister, Mia, who also sometimes drives her crazy. Jayden loves dance, K-pop music, laughter, and is a fierce protector of her friends. She is a living example of everything good in the world. And I obviously can say that without bias. I'm excited to have this conversation. Jayden, welcome to the podcast. You are now the second LeVasseur to be interviewed on the show, and the best. Daddy was on. Actually, I just got the notification a year ago yesterday. Wow. So let's see. I wanted to talk a little bit about mother-daughter relationship, but also from you're just a person, right? Like, I think people put too much pressure on moms to be not only a perfect example for their kids, but to also make sure that you, I guess, become a good person, right? And I feel like I have strayed away from that thinking. I don't believe it is my job to make you into a good person. I believe that you're already a good person, and it's my job to help you always see yourself first and to always honor yourself first and to literally ignore all the things that society and the world and school tell you you're supposed to be. I don't think that those things, like general teachings for girls, are make sure you're a good girl, right? Don't be too loud. Don't give your opinion too much. You don't want to be seen as bossy. Just those things that like kind of make you feel confused, because on one side, as parents, we're saying you can do whatever you want in life and you can be whoever you want, but make sure you don't get too big. Don't make sure you don't feel too big. Make sure you don't act too emotionally, right? So anyway, the point is that I try to not parent in a way that people think you're supposed to, so that you don't have to live how I think you're supposed to, and you can learn to trust what you think is right for you.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I think that, like, the way, if we're talking about how, like, you parent differently, I think that you parent in a way that, like, rather than telling me, oh, this is good, this is bad, it's like, you help me find out, like, how to make decisions on whether things are good. Like, you know what I mean? Like, make my own choices and, like, decide what's good for me rather than, like, you telling me, oh, this is good for you. It's like, what do you think is good for you? That's what's different.
I do ask a lot of questions. I ask a lot of questions. And that's another thing, is I never want to tell her what to do or what I think is best, because the reality is that someday I'm not going to be here. She's going to have to make decisions for herself, right? Yeah. So for me, if I always approached everything with, you need to do this and you need to do that, and I think this is the route for you, then one day you're going to wake up and say, I don't know what to do, and mommy's not here to tell me. And then, right? I don't know what to do. I just don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. But so do you feel like that helps you? Or do you feel like sometimes you're like, just tell me what to do?
I feel like it does help me, but sometimes I'm just like, you have experience in this. Tell me what to do.
Can you remember any specific examples of that? You don't have to share what you're not comfortable sharing. But
there are like certain times where like I was thinking about like school, and I'm like, oh, like what classes should I take? And it's like, then I'm like, I don't want to choose. Like, I want you to tell me what's the best. Like, just tell me what's the best to do. Like that kind of thing.
Okay. I got it. Yeah, I'm not going to tell her what she has to do. I will help her navigate it for sure. Yeah. So then on the topic of school, you go to school with your dad. Yes. Daddy is the math teacher, one of the math teachers. And you have not been in his class yet.
No.
I don't think I will be. Yeah, I don't think you ever will be. I know that people say all the time, like, is it terrible or is it uncomfortable? Like, are you uncomfortable?
No. I think it's funny because, like, a lot of kids think I'm privileged, but like a lot of kids also
How so? What do you mean?
they think that because he teaches in the building that I have better teacher connections, and then they're like, oh, she must be like privileged and like that way. Or some of them also think like, oh, because your dad's a math teacher, like you must just be very smart and good at every subject. I mean, that doesn't make sense to me. I think also it does help with the teachers because a lot of them do know me better. Or like I've known a couple of them since I was little. So that does help sometimes. But I think that a lot of the kids actually like find it as a way to connect to me and to him. Like through the fact that like, oh, I know your daughter. Like that's like a way of conversation with them too.
Oh, then he connects with them a little bit differently too. Do you feel like now, so it's your second year at the school, do you feel like they bring up your dad less?
They bring
To
him up
you?
more because last year he was like there, but he didn't teach freshman. So this year, since they actually have him as a teacher, now they're realizing, oh, this is his daughter. Like she's in my class.
Do they bring him up to you or do they bring you up to him?
Both. But I think it's actually, it depends on the kid, but most of them, they'll come up to me and they're like, Jayden, your dad gave us so much homework today. Like, Jayden, your dad gave us a test and I failed. I'm like,
You tell that dude to stop giving us so much work.
yes.
So but you're not uncomfortable. And I just have to say that Jayden and her friends do often go and stop in for visits because they know we have snacks.
That I pack snacks in his teacher closet.
So, okay, back to school. Let's see. I want to ask you this because I did say in your bio that you are the current valedictorian. But I want to ask you this. Like, Daddy and I have never, I think, pressured you about grades, would never pressured you. I don't even know that we've ever brought up the word valedictorian. It's not that I don't care, right? It's not that I don't care about grades and standing and getting straight A's and all. That's not a priority to me. My priority is to help you be a good human.
Yeah.
Right? To help you love yourself, to help you understand that self-discipline is self-love, right? So the grades, they don't matter to me, but they are a show of your dedication.
Yeah.
So my question to you is, where do you feel that you get this, not just competitiveness, because they're competitive, definitely, but where do you get the drive to want to excel academically if that's not something that we push? Where do you feel you get that from?
I feel like it helps a lot because even in middle school, I was usually like top of the class, I guess. So I was kind of more like, oh, I wanted to keep that going into high school. But I feel like a lot of the times when I'm thinking about it, I'm standing out like in grades. I think that's what I usually want to do is I want to stand out to the colleges and show I can be diverse because I dance and I swim. And then the grades, if it's like you're top of the class and you can do the other things, it's like, oh, yeah.
Do you think it's kind of like you're building a portfolio for yourself?
I think so.
Showcasing yourself?
Yeah. But I think I also sometimes push myself more because of the other people. I know a lot of kids in my class will like talk down to other people when they're higher. So I want to be able to get higher than them and stay humble. I guess that's kind of what I think.
Okay. So you're like, I'm great and I don't have
I like writing.
Yeah. Yeah. Love that. Because the people that are great truly don't have to say we know it, right?
Yeah.
I just did post about that, which is funny. Yeah, totally. I was saying something along the lines of when somebody says, I'm the least racist person you know. And you're like, bro, you just told on yourself. And they're like, I don't mean to be rude, but I'm about to be rude. Yeah. Right. So
a warning.
Yeah. It's like, I want to be great, but I want to rub it in your face.
Yeah.
And that's very silly. Okay. So what do you think? Do you feel like that little bit of competitiveness at school, do you feel like it puts pressure on you?
Sometimes I think so, but I think it helps that I'm the one putting the pressure on myself because then I could like step back and be like, well, it's not that big of a deal. You know?
So if you feel like you're putting pressure on yourself, how do you talk yourself back? Like bring yourself back down to reality and say like, how do you get yourself from, I need to do this perfectly to, it's not that serious?
I feel like it depends because a lot of the times when I'm doing my work and stuff, I'm like, oh, this has to be perfect, but this has to be perfect. But then when I think about it, I'm like, a lot of it is I saw a quote recently about you'll never grow if you don't make mistakes. So I feel like after that, I was like, oh, instead of striving for perfection, I've been striving for progress. That's what's changed.
Okay.
Is that Evelyn?
Here to the progress. For the progress.
Yeah.
I'd like to say it's all Evelyn, but Okay. So then when you look at your relationship with your friends, right? And I don't ever want you to feel like you have to divulge information about your friends. That's private. But I see how you being so sure of who you are impacts your friendships. Just in little things where I see you together and I've heard like one time, just an example, one of your friends said something mean about herself and you just like stopped her and was like, don't talk about my friend like that.
Yeah.
Right. So how do you feel that you impact people around you just by being yourself?
I feel like words matter a lot because, like how your words are in your subconscious mind. So I feel like a lot of the times I surround myself with people that also believe that too.
You can talk about that. You and your friends talk about your subconscious thinking.
We have a lot. I think a lot of my friends, like a lot of people have surface level friends, but I think that's what I like about my friends because it's not surface level friendship. We could have deep conversations. We have similar beliefs, and then what is it? You attract what you put out.
That's right.
Yes. So I think like when some of my friends are doubting themselves, if I'll say something and like a snap back and they're like, "Oh, you're right. Like I shouldn't be saying that because that's gonna make me think whatever." So I think that's how we kind of do that for like each other.
Yeah. I mean, on that note, do you always feel comfortable being yourself? Doesn't matter who's around.
I feel like some people like will say things and try to like make you feel like small, but then in that case, I was like, "Oh, I just don't want to be around you." Then it's like you don't have to.
I think I'm still learning. I think we'll forever be learning, but I think I'm still learning at this point to let myself be all of me around the people that I feel the most comfortable with. Like when you're home, you guys see every facet of Evelyn. Happy, silly, laughing, dancing, shaking, or angry or irritated. It doesn't matter. Like you guys are privy to every part of me, but not everybody is. So I think in the past, I used to, how can I say this? I used to hide parts of myself so that I would be accepted
In certain,
right? Like in certain groups, I would only let parts of myself come out in it, where now it's more like I love all of me so much that if I don't feel that you're somebody who could nurture my heart, I can't spend time with you. I can't spend time with you. But I'm not ever going to put myself in that position to make myself feel like I have to shrink, to make myself feel like I have to quiet myself. I don't ever want to feel that again. So I make sure that I always remind myself that I'm the only person whose opinion matters about me.
Yeah.
And then I could always be myself. So do you find that when you're around certain groups of people, or let's say that you go to swim or you go to dance, do you feel like school Jayden, dance Jayden, and swim Jayden are all exactly the same? Or do you feel like you're a little bit different depending on the group?
I think swim Jayden and dance Jayden are definitely the same, but like school Jayden is a little different. I feel like school Jayden is more quiet. I also don't have a lot of classes like with my friends this year, so I don't necessarily, if I don't know you that well, you're not gonna see all of me, With swimming and dance, we know each other pretty well because, the team forms like that kind of bond. So I feel like they see every side. They seen me crying, they seen me laughing, they see me crazy, see me just waking up, that kind of thing.
They see you winning, they see you scared, they see you ready to perform, they see you like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I could do this. And then, oh my God, I did that. They saw you before and after surgery. Yeah. So school Jayden's a little more quiet. She's not surrounded by as many friends in class.
Yeah. But if you see me with my friends, we're pretty loud and we're laughing. We're always laughing.
And always loud.
Yes.
Yes. And always dancing.
Yeah.
Yep. That's the thing. So do you feel like when you're home, you can be fully yourself?
Yeah. I mean, you see me dancing in the living room randomly, and I'll be singing in the shower.
Yeah. Do you ever feel like there are times when I don't handle things well? And what do you think you would like me to do differently?
I feel like it's never really with me. I feel like sometimes it's like with Mia. And like I'll see you. I think that sometimes, I think you guys have both gotten better at the pause. Like I feel like sometimes when Mia reacts, I'm like, oh, mommy would do that. And then I think that's something that I've gotten better too, though. You have to pause and look while reacting.
So you can't think of me ever doing that with you, like reacting first and then needing to like
Well, I feel sometimes for me, when something happens, I like to not talk about it and then talk about it after. But I feel like sometimes for you, you ask all the questions. So I'll be like, whoa, let's take a step.
I wasn't ready.
Yeah, I wasn't very
ready. Okay, but so then do my questions bother you, or do they help you get to the thing that you wanted to talk about anyway?
I think it depends on the situation because sometimes, I mean, if you're not ready to talk about something and then it gets asked about, it's kind of harder to answer. Or I feel like I'll answer not necessarily irrationally, but not as I would have if I would have waited, so that I could process it.
Are you uncomfortable saying, I'm not ready to talk about this yet?
No, because I feel like everything happens for a reason. So if you come to me and you're asking about it, I'm like, I'll think about it. If I were really uncomfortable, I would say something. Like someone's like, oh, maybe I'm a little overwhelmed, but if it needs to be talked about, it should be talked about.
Okay. And then, so how do you deal with overwhelm?
Deep breaths.
That's it? Like you can just breathe through the situation.
Yeah, I think normally I just like, it's okay. And then I continue. I feel like I've gotten pretty good at that. But I do get like overstimulated easy too.
The deep breath, when you're taking deep breaths, right? And you say to yourself, like, it's okay. Does that mean, do you allow yourself to feel
the frustration?
Yeah.
I feel like first, I usually tweak out first. Like, oh my God, it's like,
what's a tweak out? Can you explain to me?
Okay. You know what a crash out is? Like, we're going to crash out.
Like a freak out?
What's a freak out?
Like when you freak out about something, you like spaz?
Like a quick second, like a tism. You know what that is?
It's this lingo.
It's like a quick, like
crash out,
tweak
out,
tism.
A tism.
It's like, oh my gosh.
Okay, so it's kind of like a temporary spaz. Okay, and then what?
And then I take my deep breaths. It's like I get it out first. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, this is so crazy. Oh my gosh. And then
okay, but you're taking deep breaths, right? But I'm imagining, yes, deep breaths are happening, which is necessary, but also there's got to be something, there's some self-talk going on during that breath time.
I think I'm usually like, well, maybe it's subconscious, but I'm usually like, it's okay. It'll work out. It's fine. You're going to figure it out. But that's kind of what happens, I think.
On the topic of this lingo, what is maybe something that you wish adults understood better about teenagers that they don't necessarily show that they get to?
I feel like the fact that this generation is so much different than in the past, because
give me an example from
a lot, like with like social media and everything, people are exposed to everything so much quicker. It's like a lot of adults are like, oh, you're acting too old, you're acting too this, but that's what you've been exposed to since you were like 12. Well, not me, because I wasn't on social media that much. But I'm not gonna lie, I used to not like that when I was little, but I feel like as I got older, I was like, oh, thank goodness.
That's why. And that's why.
When I see people posting stuff from when they were little, I was like, oh, thank gosh, I wasn't.
But you're saying, so you know that adults are kind of making judgments, you think, of the,
oh, well, when I was this, that was blah, blah, blah. But like, that was like, I don't want to age people. Like, that was like 30 years. Where now it's totally different. The time has changed.
So the truth is, when I was younger, adults would say to me, when I was younger, right? So I think that sometimes adults forget that times are changing.
Yes,
right?
They always are.
Times are changing. And okay, so I think one of the things that we did, that I feel we did right with you and your sister, was when you guys wanted to try out things like Roblox, right? Everybody, we loved, guys. Everybody would say, like, you can't let your kids play on there. That's just a way that, they can chat and they're going to be victims and all this other stuff. And Daddy and I talked about it and we're like, listen, this was our conversation with each other. Technology is here. Technology is not going anywhere. And we want to teach them how to use it properly and safely, right? So at that time, when the girls were totally starting to like maybe games and stuff, they had gotten iPads. Great. And they got curious about Roblox, right? So we all created accounts and we would play together. And then we would have conversations around like not answering comments when people are rude. And we made sure that it was like something that we couldn't get direct messages in.
To add people first. I only add friends I knew them, got it from, like, their username from.
Yeah. And the conversation was always like, if you're going to add somebody, we have to approve it first. Never about, I don't know if I've ever made you feel this way, but I never wanted to make you feel like I don't trust you. I just want you to be fully aware that not everybody has good intentions. And you have to be able to figure out for yourself what feels good and what doesn't, right? So have I ever made you feel like a rule was put in place because I didn't trust you?
I feel like the only time that I can recall is like when I first got TikTok. Because we had TikTok has like a parental control thing. And I was like, why doesn't she trust me to just skip videos that are not appropriate? Or why does she not trust me to like that kind of thing? Or it was like, what was I think I had a private account. I was like, why does she not trust me to just follow people there? But then I feel like eventually it was like, it's not about me. It's about the people that are on the platform. And that was just like another thing you have to take a step back and like, be like, oh, from your perspective, I think I would do the same thing with my child.
You know what's funny is I hear moms say all the time to their daughters when they're mad about stuff, like, I was 16 once. Yeah, right? Yeah. And I was 16 once, but that was the time. That was the time. I was a vibe. However, I was never the mother to a 16-year-old before. So everything that you're going through for the first time,
You are too.
I am going through too for the first time. So I'm going to make mistakes. I'm going to make big mistakes, right? This is what I understand about motherhood more than ever. It is not my job to get everything right.
Yes.
It is not my job to do everything perfectly. And it is not my job to be a perfect role model because I'm learning. I am 46 years old and I'm still unlearning. I'm still unlearning things that I was taught that aren't actually right for me, right? So if I'm continuously learning and unlearning, that means I'm making mistakes with you.
Yeah.
But so my job is not to be the perfect mom who gets everything right and make sure that you're set up for success. My job is to raise you to love and respect yourself enough to know that I'm going to make mistakes, that you choosing to do things differently is not a disrespect to me, that you can handle anything that comes at you because you got you. Of course, I got you. Of course, I got you.
That's a guarantee.
But also, you got you, right? And I think that's where a lot of parents make the mistake of feeling like, not the mistake, I guess they're too hard on themselves. And they feel like I have to get it all right or I'm going to fail my kids. And I don't look at it as, I don't feel like if my intentions are pure and I am constantly being self-reflective and learning and trying to connect with you and trying to see who you are, not who I think you should be, right? Then I can't fail.
That's true.
Because then the ultimate gift I can give you is to teach you how to love yourself. Because if you love yourself,
That could get you in a lot of places.
yeah, and you're not going to fall victim to people's crap, right? Like when somebody comes yapping some nonsense in your ear, your gut and your instincts are like, stop it, right? Like I already hear you tell me things that people have said, or not everyone is self-reflective, guys, right? But
People are.
yes, you tell me things that people have said, and like I don't have to say a word. You already say like, that was dead wrong, or I can't believe this dude said that, right? Just your instinct is yours. So if I can give you the gift of trusting yourself, regardless of the mistakes I make, you're still going to be fine.
Yeah. That's a good way to look at it.
And you don't ever have to worry about being a perfect daughter. I mean, that's crazy pressure too, right? You just have to be Jayden.
That's me.
What do you think is something that you wish I understood better about you?
Me? I think I'm gonna take this into my what is it? Time. I always go to sleep very late. And I think we have that conversation a lot. But I think actually to talk about this question about me. I actually don't know.
Okay.
I was gonna talk about like the screen time, but I think that's not really like that relevant. I feel like we talked about
Okay. You're saying about
like certain things.
rule that's in place.
Yeah, but I don't feel like there's anything in particular.
Like screen time's a hot topic in our house, guys. That's a whole other podcast. Okay, this is something that I did want to talk. I feel like one of the things that I always kept in my heart when I became a mom was that I wanted to be the mom that you felt comfortable talking to. I never wanted to be like, you get put in a situation and your first thought is like, oh, shit, I don't want to tell mommy. I don't want that. I want it to be like, I'm calling mommy.
Mhm.
Because I don't care if it's 4 o'clock in the morning. You call, I'm right there.
Right.
Right? What do you think it is that helps you be able to say what you're thinking or tell me things that have happened at school or with other people or even in your friendships? What makes you comfortable saying the things? And do you ever feel like judged?
I think what makes me comfortable saying things is like when I've said things in the past, it wasn't like, oh, like we said earlier, like you don't want to judge me for like doing things differently
Mhm.
than like you.
Mhm.
It's like even if I made a decision that was like different from something that you would have done, I feel like it's always like, oh, I wouldn't have done that, but I still support you.
Mhm.
So I think that's what makes you like more likely to talk about it, but also the fact that like I think you talked about your experiences a lot too. And so I can hear like, oh, like she's been in this before. She learned this. So I kind of learned from your experiences too.
Okay. So do you feel like no topic is off limits, or do you feel like you don't know about that yet?
I think I'm good now.
She's good right now.
Yep.
Okay. So, and then my last question for you is, how do you feel the most loved and supported
Like here or like in
Yeah.
general.
here and then in general?
Most loved and supported. I think when I talk about certain accomplishments or certain little things that I like, and it's always supported, if I'm like, oh my gosh, Stray Kids just released a new album. This is so crazy. And then like you guys get excited with me. I feel like that's when I feel like supported. Like
Or when I
things
send you
that
TikToks about them all day long? Okay.
the Stray Kids edits are crazy on my brain.
Mhm.
Like they're crazy. But like even things like that are like when I texted in the group chat and I was like, oh, ranks got updated, and then it was like we actually talked about it in the group chat and that kind of thing.
In our family group chat? Yeah. Okay. And then how do you feel like you support?
I want to know support people here.
Yeah, how?
I'm a cheerleader. I feel like, well, that was a joke. But do you think I support you?
Yeah.
How do you think I support you?
You're like the hype girl in the
Yes.
background.
The cheerleader.
Like when I get dressed, she'll be like, "Mommy, them curls."
Yeah.
Mommy, those curls. Or oh, let me
That
eyes and makeup.
color looks good.
The hype girl.
Yeah. I like hyping people up. I think I do that with my friends too. I'm always like, oh my gosh, that looks so good. I'm like, oh, you ate that up.
Mhm.
I like doing that.
Yes, because together we rise.
Culinary.
Sounds weird, you guys. Okay, and then I said that was my last question, but my very last question is, what is a trend
Ooh.
that you think kids love
Mhm.
and adults just don't get?
Oh gosh. I feel like there's so many trends recently. Oh gosh. I was gonna say like the whole brain rot thing, but not all kids like that. You don't know the disability, that whole thing. Like a lot of kids like
Skibbity thing, yeah.
like the
Yeah.
thing is all no.
Oh, that's called brain rot.
That's brain rot. I feel like one trend that a lot of adults don't get, I'm just gonna say TikTok in general, because I feel like a lot of kids use TikTok as a way to communicate to other people or, like around the world. It's global and it's not as filtered as other social medias. So when people are on it, people will post about mental health or they'll post about like, personal experiences. So when you go on there, your For You page is pretty much like to you. Like I've gotten videos where it's someone describing like my situation perfectly and I'm like, oh my gosh, like do I not have an original experience? I feel like you just relate to other people on that. But a lot of adults just see it as, oh, you're addicted to that, blah, 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 blah. But it's more, oh, I feel like I'm connecting with other people.
Let me tell you something. Before this nonsense of it getting taken down and being brought back up is top tier for community building.
Yeah.
I didn't really fully understand TikTok before.
Mhm.
And then I started using it and I started to see very quickly how it connects you with people around the world that literally share your heart.
Yeah.
I think it does a beautiful job of showing you that we are way more alike than we are different. And are there mean people? Sure. But you scroll past their videos and you kind of see that again. Yeah. So the more that you watch specific things, the more your algorithm feeds into you. So the things you're interested in just become a part of your daily experience. That's why I'm not opposed to TikTok. The stuff that I learn on there about just basic things. There are dentists, there are hairdressers, there are scientists, there are every famous person is up there, but like you're learning from them. There's even a whole side of TikTok. I don't know if you heard about this. There's a whole side of TikTok where Hillman professor was trying to get a hold of her class and she made a TikTok to show them and then made it public.
Mhm.
And randomly, people on TikTok just started signing up for her class, right?
Oh.
But it blew up so much that other professors got on there and just started teaching their subject matter for free
Mhm.
on TikTok. And they call it Hillman Talk. Well, yeah, very cool. I feel like when people oppose something like that, it's because they're unaware,
Mhm.
right?
I like being on the educated side.
Yeah, I mean, I like being on the educated side of life, but yeah, intelligence is where it's at. But yeah, critical thinking, right? You have to know if you start watching crap on there, then you're going to get crap. If you start watching negativity, you're going to get bombarded with more negativity, but you control what's on there. And also then we make sure to have the conversations around DMs, around people being appropriate, around blocking, which that's something you learned to be.
I do that a lot. I love blocking.
Yeah. So it's about protecting who you are,
Protect
right?
your peace.
Protect your peace. Protect your peace. Protect your space. Protect your mind. Protect your heart.
Protect your soul.
Protect your soul. Just take care of you, right?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So I guess we're done. I
ate
think
that up.
this is a great. We ate that up. That's the other lingo, guys.
Left no crumb.
Left no crumbs. Yep. Left no
Grapes.
crumbs.
Were you hungry?
Because you ate them. Yes, I did. And did. Okay. And now I will just tell you, I normally end every episode with one specific question.
Huh?
And
So you lied last time when you said question.
well, that was ours, but now this is to end
Okay.
the show. So it is in the Minding Mind community, we focus so much on who you are, turning off the noise from what your family says you should be, what society says you should be, what church and school,
Mhm.
government says you should be, and learning to be instinctual and intuitive and really trusting your gut. That's called minding yours. If it doesn't feel good to me, then it's not mine, right? So how do you think, here's the question, how do you think minding yours impacts the legacy that you'll leave? And you can think about that. I'm just going to give you my example. I think that for most of my life, I literally lived to be seen as good, to be seen as beautiful, to be seen, whatever. I needed validation from the outside. So I was disconnected. But to become a mom, and she knows the story, it was a very difficult road to becoming a mom. So the ultimate gift I can give you is trust, right? Self-trust,
Yeah.
self-love, self-acceptance. But for me, I had to understand that I couldn't give you that if I didn't live it for myself.
Yeah.
Right? I couldn't expect you to feel something that I didn't feel too, because then I really wasn't teaching you that.
Mhm.
So the legacy that I leave behind is one of healing, is one of self-love and self-acceptance. I literally can picture in my mind, should you or your sister choose to have children, that the healing that I have done will literally be pulsing through their blood because you passed that to them, right?
Mhm.
So that's my legacy, is one of healing and self-trust. So I think at 16 years old,
Mhm.
she's newly 16, guys, just a couple days ago.
Sure.
At 6 years old, you are already self-assured.
Mhm.
I don't see you question yourself a lot. I see you work through the things that you're trying to work through in your mind and then come to a decision and stand on it, right? How do you think minding yours, being intuitive, being instinctual, impacts the legacy that you'll leave behind one day?
I honestly I'm not gonna lie, I get this a lot from my friends. Like a lot of my friends are like, when they think of me, they say I'm a ray of sunshine. They're like, being around, yeah, that's my favorite compliment. I was like, "Oh, goodness." So like a lot of people say that being around me lifts up their spirit, I guess you can say. So it's like, even people who like feel down, I feel like they're always like, oh, when I talk to you, I just feel so much better. I'm like, no, I love that. So I think it helps like other people with their confidence too. If I'm confident, they don't feel as insecure, you know? If you're around insecure people and it's like, oh, this person is this person is that, like you feed off of each other's energy. But I think since I don't feed off of like the other person's energy, like, you know, if they're insecure, something like that, I own energy. So I think they feel a lot more comfortable around me. And people also tend to like, a lot of people will talk to me and they'll just randomly like, I don't want to say trauma dump, Like, they just feel comfortable just talking to me.
Mhm.
I'm like, wow. So I feel like that a lot of people feel comfortable around me too. And I
Mhm.
think that's something that will be remembered too. It's like, oh,
Mhm.
she's been trustworthy. Like, I know I could tell her things. And
She has, I hope I have good advice. I think I do have good advice.
but I think just the fact that I help other people through their things too. I
Mm.
need something to be remembered.
I love it. I love that. There's a quote, and I don't want to butcher it. I can't remember who said it, but the quote is that people may not remember what you said, but they'll always remember how you made them feel.
Yeah, I like that one.
Well, Jayden, thanks for being here
Thanks for having me.
and
And Mike, it's
making it through in our in front of our wine. I want to thank everyone and Jayden for taking the time and joining us and tuning into another episode of Minding Mine. If this episode resonated with you, I want you to please comment, rate, and review the podcast. You know that your feedback always helps me grow. And until next time, I want you to go live your life on your terms and mind your business. We will catch you in the next episode.